Welcome, YouTubers, to another episode in my Grammar Hero series. In today's video, I'm going to show you a test-taking strategy you can use to perform your best on the Mathematics Knowledge subtest of the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, that is the ASVAB. As you can see, the name of the strategy I'm going to be discussing today is called PITA, which is short for Plug in the Answer. And in case you're wondering, this strategy is also referred to as backfilling. As the name suggests, all you do is take your answer choices, plug them back into your original equations, and once one of your answer choices makes a true mathematical statement, you know that that is the correct answer choice. So all that being said, let's go ahead and get some practice using this strategy. This first question says, what is the solution xy to the system of equations above? We can see our system of equations has two equations, 3x plus 4y equals negative 23, as well as 2y minus x equals negative 19. In the event you're taking the ASVAB and you completely forget how to solve systems of equations, you can always use PITA to solve any system of equations that you'll see. So let's go ahead and see how we're going to do that. Again, PITA means plug in the answer. So we're going to take the answers and start plugging them in to these equations. And once we get a true mathematical statement, we'll know we're done. So let's start with A. A is negative 5, negative 2. Of course, this is an ordered pair, which means negative 5 is x and negative 2 is y. Now, rather than plugging x and y into both equations, which is a lot of work, I'm just going to plug them into what, in my opinion, is the easier of the two equations, which is 2y minus x equals negative 19. If I get a true mathematical statement, I'll be done. If I don't, I'll have to move on to the next answer choice. So again, in place of y, we're going to plug in negative 2. So this is going to become 2 times negative 2 minus, and in place of x, we're going to put negative 5, like so, equals negative 19. So let's work this out. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Again, a negative times a negative, positive times a negative is a negative. And this minus minus becomes plus. So this is the same as negative 4 plus 5 equals negative 19. Negative 4 plus 5 is 1. 1 equals negative 19. Does 1 equal negative 19? It doesn't. This is not a true mathematical statement. So I know that answer choice A is not a solution to this system of equations. Okay? Let's go ahead and move on to B. Again, for B, we have the ordered pair 3, negative 8. Again, if it's helpful, you can label these ordered pairs accordingly. Again, 3 refers to x, and negative 8 is our y. Again, I'm going to use the second equation since it's a little bit easier. And again, that's 2y minus x equals negative 19. Let's plug those in and see if we have a true mathematical statement. Again, y is negative 8, so in place of y here, I'm going to put negative 8 minus, and in place of x, I'm going to put 3 equals negative 19. Positive 2 times negative 8 is negative 16 minus 3 equals negative 19. 16 minus 3 is negative 19. So this is negative 19 equals negative 19. Is that a true mathematical statement? It is. So in light of that, I'm going to say B is the correct answer choice. That said, whenever you're working with systems of equations, it's always a good idea to check the solution for both equations. So I checked 3, negative 8 in this bottom equation, and it worked. But just to be on the safe side, I'm also going to check it in this first equation. So let's go ahead and do that. We have Again, we're working with the ordered pair 3, -8, and the first equation is 3x plus 4y equals -23. In place of x, I'm going to put 3, and in place of y, I'm going to put -8. So this becomes 3 times 3 plus 4 times -8 equals -23. 3 times 3 is 9 minus 32 equals -23. 9 minus 32 is -23. So -23 does equals -23. Therefore, we know this ordered pair works in both the first and second equation and is the solution to this system of equations. All right, so this next question says if x is a positive integer such that x plus 1 over 2 to the x power equals 3 over 16, what is the value of x? Not surprisingly, I'm going to show you how to use the PITA method to solve this one. If you wanted to solve this one algebraically, you can see that you would have to mess around with exponents, which a lot of people don't like working with, including me. So again, let's just go ahead and plug things in and see if we can make a true mathematical statement. So I'm going to start with A, and we'll go from there. So again, the equation is x plus 1 over 2 to the x equals 3 over 16. A says x equals 1. So let's test that and see if that makes a true mathematical statement. In place of x, I'm going to plug in 1. So this becomes 1 plus 1 over 2 to the 1 equals 3 over 16. 1 plus 1 is 2. Anything raised to the first power is just itself. So 2 to the first power is just 2. So this is 2 over 2 equals 3 over 16. 2 over 2, of course, is 1. This says 1 equals 3 over 16. Is that a true mathematical statement? It's not. And since it's not, we know A is not a correct answer choice. Let's go ahead and move on to B. Again, B says x is going to be equal to 2. So as we did with x equal to 1, we're just going to plug in 2 in place of x. But that said, I'm going to write down the equation first. Okay, now that we have that written down, let's plug in 2 in place of x. So this becomes 2 plus 1 over 2 to the second power, and it has to equal 3 over 16. 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, so we're off to a good start. 2 squared is 4. 3/4 equals 3/16. This is not a true mathematical statement, so we know B isn't a correct answer choice either. Out of boredom, I'm going to go ahead and start working my way from the bottom up. So I'm going to jump ahead and let x equal 5. Again, we're plugging 5 in place of x in this equation, and that equation is x plus 1 over 2 to the x equals 3 over 16. Again, we're plugging in 5 in place of x, so this is 5 plus 1 over 2 to the 5th equals 3 over 16. 5 plus 1, of course, is 6. 2 to the 5th, let's go ahead and work that out. That's the same thing as multiplying 2 by itself 5 times, so that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. So 2 to the 5th is the same as 32. 6 over 32 equals 3 over 16. You might be saying that's not a true mathematical statement, but that said, you always have to reduce your fractions before you can make that conclusion. I know there's a common factor of 2 between 6 and 32. That is to say, I can divide 6 by 2 as well as 32 divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 32 divided by 2 is 16. And as we can see, 6 over 32 does in fact reduce to 3 over 16. 3 over 16 equals 3 over 16. Those are the same. So that is a true mathematical statement. And in light of that, we know E is a correct answer choice. Okay, so we're done with that one. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, so this next question says, use factoring to solve the equation. As we can see, the equation is x squared plus 12x plus 20 equals 0. In the event you come across a problem that requires you to factor and it's multiple choice on the ASVAB, you can use the PITA method to solve it instead of factoring. I know when I took the ASVAB, especially toward the end of the test, I saw some problems that were very difficult to factor, and instead of factoring them, I just plugged in the answers. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. That said, you do have to know one thing about solving quadratic equations to use this method. When you solve a quadratic equation, the solution usually looks like this: x plus 2 times x plus 3 equals 0. Once you factor and get to this point in solving a quadratic equation, you would break these two apart and set them both equal to 0. So ultimately, you would have a solution that looks like this: x equals -2 and x equals -3. That is to say, you would have two different x values. And that's exactly what we have for A. This -2 is a possible x value, and this -10 is also another possible x value. So in light of that, we don't plug both of them in at once. Instead, we have to plug them both into this equation separately. But that said, if I plug in -2 and it doesn't work, I'm not going to waste my time by plugging in -10. So let's go ahead and get started doing this. Again, the original equation is x squared plus 12x plus 20 equals 0. Again, using the PITA method, we're trying to find the answer choice that makes this a true mathematical statement. So this -2 says x equals -2. In place of x here, I'm going to plug in -2. So this is -2 squared plus 12 times -2 plus 20 equals 0. -2 squared, that's the same as -2 times -2, which is +4. And before I write that sign, let's work out this next part. 12 times -2 is -24 plus 20 equals 0. 4 minus 24 is -20 plus 20 equals 0. -20 plus 20 is 0. So this is 0 equals 0. Does 0 equal 0? Yes, it does. That's a true mathematical statement. So we know there's potential for A to be the correct answer choice. But that said, let's plug in this other x value and see if it works as well. And if it does, we're not going to have to do anything with any of these other answer choices. So again, the original equation is x squared plus 12x plus 20 equals 0. Again, this -10 says x equals -10. And in place of x in this equation, I'm going to plug in -10. So this is -10 squared plus 12 times -10 plus 20 equals 0. Again, -10 squared is the same as -10 times -10. So that's going to be +100, given that a negative times a negative is a positive. 12 times -10 is -120. Then we have plus 20 equals 0. 100 minus, and I'm just going to work this out from left to right. 100 minus 120 is negative 20. And I'm just going to drop down that 20 there. Negative 20 plus 20 is 0. 0 equals 0. Again, that's another true mathematical statement. And therefore, I know A is the correct answer choice. Again, you can use the PITA method to solve any quadratic equation instead of factoring it. So I know many of you could have probably factored this one pretty quickly, but in the event there was something, they gave you a quadratic equation that was more difficult, such as 5x squared plus 12x plus 20, you could have taken these answer choices, plugged them in, and then moved on without ever having to know how to factor a quadratic where the leading coefficient's not 1. So that's an example of how to use the PITA method there. All right, so this final problem says, what is the solution set of the equation above? We have the square root of 2x plus 6 plus 4 equals x plus 3. Solution set just means there may be more than one solution to this equation. So not surprisingly, we're going to use the PITA method to tackle this one. And let's go ahead and get started. Again, a is negative 1, so we're going to start with negative 1. And let's go ahead and copy down the equation. It's 2x plus 6 plus 4 equals x plus 3. Again, our goal is to find the answer choice that makes this a true mathematical statement. In place of x in this equation, I'm going to plug in negative 1. So this is going to become 2 times negative 1 plus 6 plus 4 outside of parentheses equals negative 1 plus 3. Let's go ahead and work this out further. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 plus 6 plus 4 equals negative 1 plus 3 is 2. All right, so let's work out what we have in parentheses. This is negative 2 plus 6, which is 4, plus 4 equals 2. Square root of 4 is 2, so this is 2 plus 4 equals 2. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 equals 2. Is that a true mathematical statement? It is not. Therefore, we know negative 1 is not a possible answer to this question. So we know A is not a possible answer. And since C as well as D contain negative 1 in the solution set, we know likewise that those aren't correct answer choices either. Okay, so at this point, you can confidently say B is the only correct answer. That said, let's go ahead and plug it in just to illustrate that. Again, this says 5 is going to be the correct value of x. So let's go ahead and copy over the equation, which is the square root of 2x plus 6 plus 4 equals x plus 3. And in place of x, we're going to plug in 5. So this becomes 2 times 5 plus 6 plus 4 equals 5 plus 3. Let's work out what's in this radical. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 6 is 16. So this is square root of 16 plus 4 equals 5 plus 3, which is 8. Square root of 16 is 4. So this is 4 plus 4 equals 8. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 equals 8. So we know that that is a true mathematical statement, and therefore 5 is the solution to this equation. All right, so that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you found it helpful. As you just saw, you don't have to know how to solve system of equations or factor per se. As long as you realize that you can use the PITA method or backfilling to answer the question, you'll be in good shape for the mathematics knowledge subtest of the ASVAB. As always, you're more than welcome to leave feedback in the comments section below. In addition, if you like my content, please consider subscribing to my channel. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and cut you loose.
Konnichiwa.